Today, we're gonna cook all kinds of steak on the coals to see, number one, can we do it? And number two, is it worth it? I have five different cuts of steak that I'm gonna be cooking entirely on the charcoal, on the coals. And we're gonna see which one is really good. Are they disgusting? Do they taste like ash? All of the above. Let's dive into it. We have skirt steak, classic example of something that you would cook on the coals. You want something that is thin, maybe a little bit fatty, gonna cook in like 2-3 minutes. That's what I would traditionally do, but we have some bigger cuts. We have filet, we have strip, I have a tomahawk, and I have a surprise guest. We're gonna be cooking a brisket. A couple of things to note before you're cooking on the coals. Number one, use real wood or real lump charcoal. No briquettes, don't use any lighter fluid. Number one, it's gonna go into the food and you don't want that. Number two, it's gonna taste like it, so you definitely don't want that. Also, just be aware of it like sticking. Don't be freaked out. It is totally safe to eat steak that is cooked on charcoal. We eat charcoal all the time. It's totally fine. I wouldn't eat it in large consumptions, but now that we have all of that out of the way, let's dive in. All right, so we have all of our cuts. For this, I'm gonna season them all the same, just salt, so we can really taste it. I am adding a little bit of oil. It's gonna help increase the smoke point just a little bit on each one of these steaks. That's just gonna help it from completely burning. And then salt. Cooking weird steaks on the coals has always been a dream of mine. It's different. It really surprises people, either for fear of it being like not sanitary or not safe. It just like, it freaks people out because they're afraid of burning things. Don't be afraid of burning things. Let's start with part 5, brisket.
This is the story of Star Wars. Let's begin with part 4.
Not actually cooking an entire brisket, but we have a brisket flat, mostly because I just think that this is the one that's gonna cook best. I'm gonna sear this guy off to get a nice little crust. And we're gonna do this guy a little different than the other steaks. We're actually gonna cook it slowly in foil because I don't think it's gonna be very realistic for it to cook on the coals the entire time. It's just gonna turn into black char. Let's throw this guy on, get a little crust. All right, I'll be back. This should only take like 2 to 3 minutes. So, all right, let's throw it on. Right before I cooked this guy, I blew off all that loose ash, and then we are cooking with ventilation. So it's gonna cook a lot hotter and a lot faster. Starting to get caramelizzy on the outside, changing grayish. We probably only got like another 30 seconds, then I'll flip. Now this method doesn't necessarily get the greatest crust. It does add a lot of smoky flavor. You can make dirty tacos like this. You can cook the tortillas on the coals. You can cook the salsa on the coals. You can cook the cheese on the coal. Don't cook the cheese on the coals. Let's flip this guy. Nice. And then honestly, this time around, I think this guy only needs maybe like a minute and then he'll be done. Okay, let's pull this guy off. Gonna add like a little beef tallow on top to kind of amp up some flavor. Finishing salt, let it rest for a couple of minutes and we'll slice it up. Boom, right on the money. Slice into this guy. Grain structures go east to west or west to east, so we want to actually slice against it going north to south. So I'm gonna slice them into individual steaks, turn them 90 degrees, and then we'll slice it up against the grain. Nice little medium, maybe medium rare, a little bit. Let's try it out. This is so good. Definitely smoky. I don't think that the crust developed as much on cooking with skirt because it's so fast. This is a classic that you cook on the coals, chop it up into tacos. Highly recommend, 8 out of 10. This is great. Maybe now change it, 9 out of 10. Our brisket got a little char on one side. Look at that, not bad. Nothing's stuck. It's looking good. So I'm just trying to get like a little bit of a crust. Don't be upset by some of this like ash and soot or whatever. Again, you're fine. All right, we'll be back. This is where we're gonna throw the tomahawk on. One key for this is that I want something that doesn't have ventilation underneath, where we're gonna wait until the charcoal is completely ash white. And then I'm gonna go down, blow off all that loose ash, and then I'm gonna add it on. But I'm doing that because I don't really want any extra ash added onto my steak, but you don't have to. Already burnt. So we got a little bit of a crust on this guy. Let's throw this into some foil and throw it back on. Oh yeah. I'm gonna place this guy on. Got some Porter Road beef tallow. All right, let's add this on like ice cream. So I'm adding on beef tallow. You could add just like normal oil if you want, but I'm adding this because it's just gonna add a bunch more flavor. And I'm gonna Add some underneath. And so this is kind of like ribs in a way. Wrap it up tight. I got like 3 things of foil. Wrap this up as tight as possible. Pack that down, and boom. We're gonna throw this onto the coals. I have absolutely no idea how long it's gonna take, but it probably could take like anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. This is the grayest steak I've ever seen. Yeah, we'll see what happens, but honestly, it's just more fun to cook when you don't wholly know exactly what's gonna happen.
Life was like a box of chocolates.
You can wrap the bone in foil so it doesn't completely like break and splinter. I did not do that, but you probably should. Welcome to the smoking oasis. It's just because fat is burning. Next, we have New York strip. This is my favorite cut, but I'm doing this for you guys so that you don't have to. All right, let's try it. So you can kind of smell the fat cooking. That's a good crust. Out of all the other ones, this is the best crust we've had. Yeah, it definitely got a little bit more char and a little more burnt than the skirt steak, but I'm pretty pleased with this. All right, let's let it rest. Let's slice into it and see how it looks. A little uneven, but not too terrible. I'd say that's rare for sure, but I'm not upset about that. That looks great. Now, obviously, if you don't like rare, you don't need to cook it this way. I probably could have cooked it a little longer, but I think that this is gonna be good. So let's try it out. Oh, the crunch on that. I know it's done too because even though it's rare, it's warm. 8 out of 10. Let's do filet. So this one I want to be really careful about because filet is relatively lean, but because it's tall, I don't know how long this is gonna take, and we're probably gonna have to cook it on its side a little bit too. Let's see how it goes. All right, let's flip this guy over. You can already see it's gotten a great crust. Really not bad for cooking on the coals. All right, I'm gonna pull this off. I'm gonna let it rest for like 10 minutes. That residual heat is gonna bring it up to about 120. Perfect. Let's go. We have our beautiful tomahawk steak. It's been resting. All right, let's slice it up. Yeah, it worked. Look at that. So it doesn't have like the greatest crust on the actual eye of the ribeye, but everything else got decent. The outside got a little burnt, but overall, I am very surprised. Very tender. That is very good. I'd say 7 out of 10. Not my favorite way to cook a ribeye. If you're in a tight spot, you can make it work. Let's go and check on this brisket. As you can see, it has a beautiful outside color and texture. Just that shiny silveriness. It's been a couple hours. Let's pull this guy off and let it rest. Okay. Fillets are done. Let's let it rest. We're gonna slice into this filet. Look at that juice. That's great. Look at that. You know, we got some gray band on the outside. Maybe it's a little uneven, but that's pretty dang good for cooking on the coals. Let's try it out. That's the winner. Dang, that is so good. Tender, has a good crust. 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. It would only be a 10 out of 10 if I had a big old glass of bourbon. Let's see what's going on with this brisket. Okay, so here's the brisket. Took maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I brought it inside, temp probe to a little over 200, it was like 203. So I'll let it rest in the foil. But you can cook this well until it's falling apart. Let's try it out. Look at that. That looks pretty good. I got the grain going this way, so I'm gonna slice this way. Let's try it out. And this is flat, so maybe dry, who knows. That looks pretty juicy. Doesn't really have the bend test that you would traditionally get brisket. Let's do a pull. Not as tender, but try it. That's not bad. It just tastes like braised brisket. Tastes like pot roast. 7 out of 10. I wouldn't say this was the best one. It's a way that you could cook brisket. So that was a lot of fun. It was definitely unique. I love cooking on coals and I love cooking in unique ways over the fire. Obviously, I think the winner for me was either the strip or the filet. That strip caramelized super duper well and the filet was so tender, it was perfectly cooked. I think cooking like skirt steak or hanger steak or flank steak on the coals is super easy, a lot of fun, really adds a lot of flavor and it's just extremely unique. I think that brisket turned out even better than I was expecting. Had a little bit of that smoky flavor, but definitely tasted like braised brisket. This was a lot of fun. Go and hit that subscribe button and then check out some of our seasonings in the description below. My cowboy butter would be a really fun one to cook on the coals with. Maybe even that smoked garlic jalapeno lager in my beer cans. Go and check out our seasonings. Go and check out my grill, all that fun stuff. And as always, stay so freaking delicious. All right, Cheers. Cooking on the coals rocks, and anybody that says different is wrong. That's it. That's the end. It's the end. Finn. Okay, bye.